Every day, local officials from the many CCM member municipalities across the state turn to the CCM research staff to get the information they need quickly, accurately, and without additional cost. Today, we are talking with Max Friedman from CCM Research about how they assist our member municipalities. The Municipal Voice is the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities podcast in collaboration with WNHH LP 103.5 FM. I'm your host, Matt Ford. As always, be sure to give us a like and let us know what you're thinking in the comments. CCM's Municipal Voice podcast continues to present a key forum on important state local issues. The views expressed do not necessarily reflect the consensus views of CCM or our member municipal leaders. Max, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
So we're having you on from CCM's research department, and could you just quickly introduce yourself, your role there, and then kind of what research at CCM does?
Sure. I'm Max Friedman. I'm the research manager here at CCM. I've been here for about 7 years. It's me and we have a principal research analyst, Brian West. We provide research and information tools to our members and to the general public, to legislators and others, educate them about municipal issues.
What's your primary mission? Like, how does this begin?
Sure. Well, our primary mission, I would say maybe 50% of what we do is handling member research requests. So,
okay.
A town has a question about how other towns what policies they might have about use of parks, or noise ordinances, or, how they pay for certain things.
Okay.
We'll bring in a research request that comes in through our portal, through email, to one of us. And then we will take it, get it approved by the, chief executive officer of the town, the mayor, the first selectman, town manager, and then go out, usually get 10 to 15, similar towns by population or income, sort of depends on what the issue is, and sort of find out what they're doing, sort of best practices of what similar towns are doing to handle a certain issue.
So similar town, like the same kind of size and part of the state, so you
Exactly.
they can really get an apples to apples comparison as to how something might work or not work somewhere else.
Yeah, and it depends sort of on what the request is and what the town wants. Sometimes they want just sort of what the towns around them are doing. Sometimes they want what similar population, let's say 25,000 people, around the state might be doing. So, and we usually try to turn those around within 2 weeks or so.
Yeah. Now, the type of stuff that you do in the research department, if you weren't doing it, how would some of these towns get that info? Do some of the bigger cities have someone that does sort of the stuff that you do? Or how does that work?
Yes. So they do. The larger cities, the Hartfords, the Bridgeports, New Haven, Stamfords, those tend to have more staff, in the mayor's office or in other offices that can sort of handle a lot of this work. But sort of below that level of population, there isn't much staff. They're running pretty bare bones. So we are sort of that research department that's spread amongst all of our members.
So some of the smaller towns, like people in different parts might have some ideas, but they don't have the staffing to really like do the research and figure out if it could work and stuff like that.
If it's feasible, if someone else has tried this, or if there's some new way that they didn't think of. So it's a good way that we can spread ideas throughout the state.
Yeah. And that's part of like CCM's like base services to our members, right?
It is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So aside from like the direct kind of requests for information from our members, what other sort of like materials and information do you provide?
Sure. So one thing we do if we notice a trend in requests or if there's some big issue that's popped up, we sort of look and do a more sort of evergreen toolkit or information brief on the issue.
So one person asks about something, you get the special report for them, but 3 or 4, you're like, oh, this is a thing that everyone might have an interest in. We should really look into it and compile this stuff we've done to get it to everybody.
Yeah. So one example could be, charter revisions that towns do periodically. Some of that, about that whole process. We put together one on that. And then about forms of government, whether to move to a town manager form, or certain positions being appointed versus elected, whether that's more efficient for towns. So when we get things like that seem like they were help a broad range of our members, we're go and do that work and have something published, ready to go for them.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing about, because like if we didn't have the service, where would you necessarily turn for some of these answers? I don't know. Would you Would they have to go to the state libraries and research it? Like, I don't even know how they would go
They
about it.
could try to parcel together some Googling and things, but we have the resources to sort of spend the time to do this.
Yeah.
We're not pulled in 1,000 other directions by residents
Yeah,
coming
and
in and all that
Brian
sort of
has
stuff.
been doing this for a long time, so he kind of knows how to word
Yes,
things to make it work right, and yeah.
that's right.
And so in addition to that, I know we recently did a survey of our members. So you
Yes.
do that. Do you do surveys of non-members, or is it just the members? How do the surveys work?
Yeah, we try. Well, we just did a member survey to sort of
Hmm.
to gauge of our members, sort of all of our services, research, communications, this
Hmm.
podcast, our workshops, our advocacy, just to see how members are feeling about how we're doing. And then
Hmm.
we're going to take that and all get together next month and sort of figure out where to go from here. We've also done some sort of around the legislative session. This
Hmm.
past spring, there was an issue of special education funding that came up.
Okay.
We've sent a survey out to our members. Also sent it to the school business officers who sort of handle they're like the
Hmm.
finance directors for schools.
Hmm.
Worked with some other statewide organizations on getting that. Got that information together, and it did lead to getting that funded. Early on in the session. So
That's interesting. With some of the education issues, you not only have to talk to the town CEOs, but you might have to talk to the Board of Ed or something too.
exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
because most of that, the actual running that sort of work is on that side, not on the sort
Hmm.
of municipal side of things. So definitely finding that together, getting the information out there is something we
Compiled
have
in
to
all
do.
one kind
Yeah,
of place.
yep,
Um, and then I know like another aspect is, the towns turn to you for information and analysis on labor relations.
yes,
So
yes.
talk a little bit about that.
Sure. That's primarily
Mm.
what I handle on my day to day.
Okay.
So a good amount of our research requests are related to compensation and other issues around employment.
Hmm.
Um, so I compile every month a monthly labor relations data reporter that has,
Okay.
broad economic trends
Hmm.
reported from the federal government and the state government. I try to collect, all the contracts that are coming in all the time that are
Okay.
ratified, and keeping track of the wage increases over
Okay.
the
So what
year.
what are people paying for services and things and
What are
people
people
being
paying, and what
towns?
what are the
Yeah.
increases? So if the
What's
average is
getting more expensive in Connecticut? Okay.
exactly 2.5% or so, wage
Hmm.
increases. Yeah, the inflation data we keep track of, so things can sort of maybe go in line with
Hmm.
that. The cost of living. We also follow arbitration cases. So when the town and the union can't come to an agreement on their own, they
Hmm.
often go to the state board of mediation and arbitration, and then we get the rulings when they come out.
Okay.
And that helps towns if they are going into arbitration, or the attorneys for them,
Hmm.
see sort of the trends and how that board is ruling lately, so
Hmm.
they sort of know how to craft their arguments.
Yeah.
And then this data is primarily geared for municipal CEOs, HR, and finance,
Hmm.
and it's also available for subscription from non-member organizations.
Yeah. Yeah. I imagine for the HR people, that's a great resource because it is sort of a specialized field,
Yes.
How
Yeah.
much does a northeastern town manager or department head of this, public works should they make? And there's only
Yep. And actually for
169 and maybe less in some of these positions, people doing that. Yeah.
yep. And actually for that specific information, we have our annual salary survey.
Okay. So that's
So
different
that,
than the labor's relations where that's a
I mean, it's
annual.
all in the same
Yeah.
ballpark. But so we work with CROS, Capital Region Council of Governments, on that,
Okay.
and we host the online tool for municipalities to
Hmm.
submit every year and review, when they need to, the compensation information from around
Hmm.
the state. So that's where we ask, especially for department head level, town
Hmm.
managers, finance directors, that sort of thing, where it's really hard to find the
Like an
comparisons on the,
equivalent. Yeah.
yeah. Um,
You could
so
probably
that
find a comparison for a janitor for a 10,000 square foot building or something
exactly,
in the
yeah,
private
yeah,
sector or, yeah.
yeah. You sort of have to match that, or it's easy enough to sometimes to find the labor contracts with that have a big
Hmm.
table of salaries at the end.
Yeah.
But for town managers, things like that, that's not always available.
Hmm.
So we do have that available. The submission period actually for that is going to be opening up later this month,
Okay.
and into the fall. So we need towns to participate in it to make it a better tool, so everyone sort of uses it. So it all
like
comes
you and
back
research
around.
will send an email to the CEOs and appropriate department heads
Yes,
or
they should
whatever.
all be watching out for that.
Okay, so
towards
everyone
towards
watch
the end
out
of the
for
month,
the survey from Max.
and please do it.
Um, One thing I've been hearing you guys talk about over in research, you seem to be pretty excited about, is the new Data Hub.
Yes,
Got a cool name, Data Hub. Tell
data
us
hub.
about that.
Yes, sure. We are. So it's been an issue that there's a lot of data out there for towns and
Mm-hmm.
on the statewide level, but it's in lots of different places and it's sort of
Mm-hmm.
hard to parse through. You sort of have to know how to download it the right way and then filter through it. So
Yeah.
we've been talking for a few years and finally doing it this year, pulling together the data from the state, from the census,
Mm-hmm.
from different sources, and sort of putting it together in one place, hosted on our website,
Mm-hmm.
um, with a big map. You'll be able to click through, find sort of similar towns on various issues.
Okay.
And it's also going to host town profile pages for
Okay.
each municipality.
Mm-hmm.
So that will list the CEO, the legislative members, population, form of
Mm-hmm.
government, fiscal income information,
And
all that
like,
sort
is
of
this
stuff.
information going to be live on there, or is it going to be like a static thing?
We will update it, periodically when the new
Okay.
numbers come out for all those things. So that's sort of throughout the year.
Mm-hmm.
The census information, they update estimates every year, I believe.
Yeah.
Most of that stuff is annual. So it'll be on a rolling basis. So,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll be updating, after elections for change to the mayors are and all that,
Mm-hmm.
if that changes.
So the data coming in, you say some from the state and some from other sources.
Yeah.
Is it staying as you get it in the state that you get it, or just hosting it, or is it being sort of put all into one data stream, or
Putting into one data stream. Yes. And then we
Yeah.
will have the links to where we got it. So
We can show the sources, but
we will sort of, yes.
Okay, like you can basically search for something, and we will actually be searching in the text and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So we will have a link to wherever it's coming to us.
Mm-hmm. But it's not just a series of links; it's a actual
it will be the
tool
big
to look through this stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
All in one place, easy to use. So we're hoping to get that out, official launch, around convention time in early December. And for that, actually, we are asking towns to submit a photo of their town hall and also a short blurb about sort of what they would like the public to know about their town.
And that's for their town profile page you were talking about.
Yes. What makes their town special? So I've been sending out for the past couple of weeks emails to our CEOs, and hopefully they all get those to me soon as well.
So the Data Hub, you said you're doing it with the Capital Region Council of Governments.
No, that's just a salary survey.
That's just a salary survey. Okay, so the Data Hub is just us.
Just us. Yep.
And is that something that's available just to members, or is it open to the public?
No, that's going to be open to everyone. So that'll be
so members of the public can go to CCM's website and they'll be able to find the Data Hub and utilize it.
Yep.
That's really cool.
Linked on our site. Yeah. So we're excited for that. So that will be great to have sort of that information right at people's fingertips. They don't have to go searching on various sort of data heavy sites for
that. Just to turn back to a minute to kind of your core work that you guys do.
Sure.
When members are looking to you to obtain research information, kind of like how does that work? How do they contact you, or how should they contact you? What's that process like?
Sure. So they can go on our website, and there's a portal there that they can submit a research request that comes to us. They could also send an email to me directly, or to Brian West, who's our other researcher, or to their Connecticut Town Liaison staff member. We're all assigned to different areas of the state, and they can reach out to that person, and they can forward it on to us.
Yeah.
And we get it. We figure out who should handle each request. Reach out to them. Sort of talk about what the parameters are, what they're looking for. Give them an idea how long it'll take, and we go from there.
Yeah. Talking about your services that we provide, and we talk about our members quite a bit because they're our most important clients, as it were. But we do also work with, municipal business associates and other entities. Do you, in research, work with them at all?
Sometimes, yes. So some part of our membership, the municipal business associate members, is that they are entitled to a certain amount of research requests per year based on their membership. So sometimes we craft questions for them if they have them as well. So it's just sort of working with what their needs are while also respecting our members.
So if they have a certain service they're curious about, and we could ask our members, hey, would you be interested in this sort of service? And they would want to know that information. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Or if they would be, if something would be useful for them, something like that. So that is something we do. And sometimes we reach out to them as, do you have any experience with this sort of issue? And how do municipalities handle that?
Are some of these people almost like experts?
Because they, on a specific issue, they're no more than I will. So it's good to reach out to them as well. Especially some of our law firms we reach out to. They're very helpful on some of these issues. So.
Yeah, I imagine that with some of these research requests, is there a point where you guys kind of have to hand it off or say this is beyond our realm when it starts getting into like legal questions for the
towns? Legal questions we can't really handle. None of us are attorneys, and we're certainly not their attorneys.
You can say like this is the regulation in the town next door, but like legal opinion, no.
Yeah, we do get a lot of questions about ordinances from other towns and things like that. So we can freely send them. We just can't obviously offer legal advice of any sort. And same with state statutes. We can find where the statute is. I can do what it looks to me, but sometimes the end result is you do have to call your town attorney, for this question. So
and CCM does actually have attorneys too, and that we work with, and
we do work
for some of these issues.
So for some things we could do that, but as a regular matter, that's not something we provide.
We deal with,
Yeah.
You are listening to the Municipal Voice on WNHH 103.5 FM.
What are some recent things that you've been doing in research, some products, whatever you want to call them, that you've been pushing out to our members?
Sure. This year, in research, we've been focusing on boards of finance and other municipal finance issues. So we started a municipal finance essentials series of sort of reports and briefs. So we started with municipal pensions and retirement, sort of the division between defined contribution plans and defined benefit plans, and other issues around that, other trends that we're seeing. We're just coming out now with a report of the property tax and how the property tax works in Connecticut, which is always a hot button issue, especially this time of year when people get their bills in the mail. So just to explain how that process works, the exemptions around it, so the pitfalls of certain things. So that's coming out shortly in August. And then later in the year, we're planning on having a report come out about municipal procurement and purchasing policies, sort of how towns, buy things, how they order things, and how all that works. And then I think rounding out the year sort of around election time is just sort of how boards of finance work and sort of the basics of the budgeting process, because we'll be heading into that. And we're hoping to tie all these together for our newly elected workshop later in the year. So, for newly elected board of finance members, board of selectmen, town council members, who might not have much experience with this sort of thing.
That's the thing, is you can be elected without necessarily having a lot of experience, and you might not know all this just off the top of your head or whatever. How are you supposed to learn it? It's not like you go to be on the town council class or whatever, or maybe you do. It's called CCM training. Sort of.
It's called CCM training, and we've also started actually a listserv for board of finance members, so they can sort of share information, because we discovered there wasn't any sort of organization built around board of finance members in the state. So we're sort of
so a lot of the other ones, like the town attorneys and something like that, CAMA, the Connecticut Association of Municipal Attorneys, like they have associations,
right?
But you're saying that there was nothing like that for them.
There was nothing like that for them. So there still isn't fully one for them, but we're at least making a place where they can sort of start to share information. So, and we're hoping to sort of keep that going in the next year.
That's really cool. And I asked you about this before with some of the other stuff, but this new series you're talking about, is that something that the public could also find on our website and stuff and look at?
I believe so. I believe we have that on our site, or we will be putting them on our site. So they'll be available just for people to
be able to read and check out.
Get familiar with, how these issues are. They might hear about in their town, the council was talking about the retirement pension issue, and so they can sort of get a background on this.
Yeah, a lot of these issues, you hear about them, but unless you do something like we do or you work for the town government, you might not really understand the intricacies of it. If it's not part of your day to day, you don't understand the intricacies of the municipal retirement system and how it relates to the state retirement system.
Exactly. Yeah. And as long as you go about your life in your town and things seem fine, but
but when you wonder like why do the taxes
where's
go
the money
up
going
on things, and you'll understand why a lot of times not only do they go up, but they're going up not necessarily because the town wants to, but in reaction to like some sort of state mandate or something like that, because they have to provide certain services.
Exactly.
And if those services get more expensive,
and to keep people to work there, that is a nice benefit. Is the retirement system for the public sector typically. So it's obviously a balancing act. So but just to have an idea of how all this works is helpful for everyone.
One thing I know we were talking about recently, and everybody's been talking about recently, it seems like AI.
Yeah.
And we're starting to hear about it in municipal government. It's starting to be a thing that towns are having questions on because everyone's talking about it. So what have you looked into on that? Have you put out a report?
Sure.
Talk about some.
Yeah, we did put out a report. We did put out a report, I believe, earlier this year about AI in local government. So some people are starting to get familiar with it a little bit. There was one example is in New Haven. The police department starting to use it to sort of make the first drafts of police reports, which will save a lot of time for officers, allow them to do other things. So I think for the HR departments are using it to sort of draft the first round of a job description or job ad. I think a lot of are using it for that first sort of pass of things. And then to save just that sort of labor of finding things, finding comparisons, and then going through and fine tuning it. I'm using it myself for that sort of thing. I find it's a good use for finding sources and doing sort of first run through, my typical sources for things. Instead of Googling like 8 towns, I'll just go in there first and see, can you find me anything, ordinances about special event, permits and things in Connecticut. And it will turn out a few of them. I'll go through and actually check them, make sure they match what we're looking for. But finding the sources links, I'm finding very useful in my work. So
it's mostly like that sort of busy work. There's stuff right now.
Instead of
looking
going
ahead,
through
how far away are we from like Terminator taking over?
And then when it's just like 3 of us in the office running the AI machine, I think it's a while because I think it does come up with some things that are like don't match up. So I think it will be a good tool for us. I don't think it's going to replace the human part of us fully for a while.
They're still trying to figure out what to use it for. Like, this is great. Now what do we do with it? Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So everyone's still sort of figuring it out. And you have to be careful and, and tread lightly with it. But.
Yeah. We talked about surveys a little bit before. But more specifically, I know there was a survey talking legislative issues, and I think we touched on special education funding.
Yeah.
What did the survey show in that? What's our members'
on the special education funding?
Yeah.
It was just asking about where they were sort of in the shortfalls for the year, and they needed to be sort of made whole. Let me see if I can pull it up actually.
And that's talking about them getting funding from the state.
From the state.
A reimbursement from the state, right?
Yes, they weren't receiving their full amount. That was the issue. And then we were just asking, like, this was in, when was this? February. Had you received your budgeted amount for that fiscal year? And sort of how much was your deficit? So some of these I'm looking, had $3 million they hadn't received from the state at that point.
That they were promised as part of the formula.
They had made their budget the previous year, for it. So then we sent the survey out to a whole bunch of school districts. They got back to us. We, parceled it together. Our lobbyists took
Yeah.
it and got the funding for our town.
Yeah. Brian and crew went in there and made sure.
They did.
Good job, guys.
Good job, guys. Yeah, and we sent it to superintendents and like school business officers to get that
Yeah.
information.
A product that I work with you every year on, I just do the cover, but it comes up every year, is the Municipal Employee Relations Act manual.
Sure. So the MURA is what we call it. It is the law that governs municipal employment and sort of how
in Connecticut,
and how our municipalities interact with their employees, particularly their labor unions.
Okay.
So as sometimes minor tweaks in the legislation, but a lot of the sort of case law, I guess, is made by the State Board of Labor Relations. So
Okay.
we have an attorney, Lisa Lazarek, that we work with. She edits it every year. I send her, the past ones. I send her the labor board decisions from the past year, and she goes through and she finds.
So what changed this year?
What
and
changed
she
this
figures
year?
out how that actually affects things using
Yes.
her legal knowledge and yeah.
Exactly, and it explains to the members or the municipalities sort of how they navigate certain issues that might come up. So it's a good reference for our HR folks and our town attorneys to have sort of on hand, and that's an electronic copy is included as part of their.
So it's almost like a best practices for
yes.
employee relations at the town level.
And in the back of it, we include sort of an index of different the grievance arbitrations that come in. So if an employee alleges that the town didn't treat them correctly, they can file a grievance, and that goes to that same board mediation arbitration that we talked about before. And we have a big index of the new grievances that have come out, and sort of then they can go see. I have one about vacation time, something. Let's go read about.
So when you say new grievances have come out, is that something that's been added to the act, or is that something where like someone in another town tried it and they had a case and that's how it got interpreted in that case? Yes. So it could be interpreted that way.
Exactly.
If it happened in your town. Okay.
Yep. And we have that listed by the topic, by the union, by the town, and also by the neutral member of the board. So there's a management member, a union member, and then like a neutral. So that's usually who swings the balance between the two sides.
One thing that was catching my eye was the data hub, because we have our Connecticut Town City magazine is coming out soon, and there's an article talking about some of this stuff. Maps and charts.
Yep.
What tool are you using to do that, and like what kind of information can you provide with that maybe you couldn't before?
Sure. We use Tableau a lot, which is we use the free version of it. So that's very useful in making maps and charts and sort of dashboards. I'm still sort of playing around with it, getting used to it.
Infographics,
infographics that can sort of be embedded in certain places. We did that with our Do the Math campaign this year as well. When the governor's budget came out, we made a map of like, here's what
there was the education budget we were talking about. We do the math,
yes. And sort of where the shortfalls from previous years, things like that. So it is a good way to visualize and for people to see sort of how things move. And we kept track of that during the different iterations of the budget this year. So that is definitely something we use. It's always trying to figure out how to make it easier to use as a user, show the most information, and then lead to other sources with more explanations.
Yeah. So like I know we had some charts in the magazine showing like mill rates, and you could see kind of the heat map, almost like when you see the weather map on line or whatever. Like, oh, there's a storm down here. It's taxes. It's not thunder and lightning, but this area is
not
hot.
Good. Yeah. Rising mill rates or increases in mill rates could be an interesting one. And then the state grant information is always interesting as well to see. So so that will be a lot. We will have a lot of maps on the data hub. We'll be you'll be able to click a topic and it will sort of populate the map and sort of the heat map sort of thing.
Yeah, and like on that one, I'm pretty. Let's correct me if I'm wrong, but they could like then take that map, get the link, and like embed it on something on there that would credit us, but it would say,
I believe so. We're
yeah,
still working
still working
out,
on that, but
yeah.
like,
yeah,
use the information, just credit Data Hub by CCM or whatever it
yeah,
is,
yeah,
and become an outlet for some of this information.
yeah.
And just kind of to wrap up, we always like to talk about the future and everything. What do you see in the next year or so coming up as kind of the big issues for our members that they're going to be turning to you to give them more information about?
Sure. I think more AI
Mm-hmm.
information. I think different things about federal funding has come up,
Mm-hmm.
and sort of where things are, education funding, things like that. So just how towns are going to manage that,
Yeah.
as well as if there's Medicaid cuts or eligibility. Some towns are
Mm-hmm.
starting to figure out how to sort of help residents sort of meet those work requirements that might be coming in a couple of years,
Mm-hmm.
through volunteering and other sorts of
So get
solutions.
prepared for some changes.
Yeah, so they have a little time, luckily, because I don't think anything's scheduled to happen until 2027, but
Mm-hmm.
comes faster than you think.
Yeah.
So that's definitely some of it. Um, what else? Yeah, always labor issues are coming up. Both
Mm-hmm.
on the policy side. There's always legislative mandates that are discussed, as well as things coming from in the town. So
Yeah. Well, sounds like you're going to have your work cut out for you as
always
always.
busy.
Always busy, as are we. Well, Max, thanks for taking a little bit of time out to talk to us in
Yeah.
communications, and keep up the good work over there.
All right. Thank you for having me.
See you next
All
time.
right.
Municipal Voice is a co-production by CCM and WNHH 103.5 FM. Joe Thornton is our executive producer. Christopher Gilson is our producer. Harry Draws on the boards, and I'm Matt Ford, your host. CCM's communications interns are Caitlin Higgins and Zachary Hallis. Be sure to check out our Facebook page and give us a like, and watch out for our CCM chat series on our YouTube page.